NCCC. I'm also had the privilege in December of being invested as the mayor, the honorary mayor of Campbellville for a year, and there's some people here that I want to they can take away, because we have some other people that were also honored over the years for their contribution to the community. And we've got Cindy is here, Gary is here, Ruth is here, Peter and Liz isn't here, but Peter's here, and Debbie's here, and John. Can you all just kind of like wave and take a bow? Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce Lisa Guttman, who has taken up the job of chairing the Illegal Land Use Committee. And she's going to come and talk to us. And we've given our speakers 10 minutes for talking if they wish, and then about 5 minutes after for questions.
If it's a job, it's not well paid. So for the Illegal Land Use Committee, if anyone doesn't know, is a group from the sort of west part of rural Milton, covering Nassagaweya and Campbellville, just to be a conduit for concerns getting back into the town regarding illegal land use, the illegal dumping, illegal truck lots, and we're really just a communication vehicle. So we currently are watching about 30 properties of concern, thanks to everybody who are channeling those concerns in through myself and also into the town. Some involve the mass dumping of fill, which we know has been an ongoing issue, and also a leading up to sort of illegal truck lots in the area as well. There are some instances of non-permitted construction as well. Most of these fall under the jurisdiction of the town of Milton, although there are some that fall under NEC and GRCA. We do have a lot of protected land here. So the jurisdictional issue does come up quite often. And there are 10 of those 30 or so properties that have an active investigational order in place. So on the specific issue of illegal commercial truck parking, because that's been a lot of the discussion that we've had when we've met with town officials, the town plan actually is quite adequate, and it was recently updated. It doesn't allow truck parking in the rural area. The majority of the land in this area, as you know, is designated prime agricultural and rural lands, and per the plan, truck-related issues need to be in the employment areas, which is the heavy industry areas for manufacturing and industrial operations, which I think we all know where most of those are. So the wording in the plan is adequate. The issue is more one of enforcement plus timely and adequate penalties, and I think that's what we've all felt over the last few years. And also, the town plan doesn't have jurisdiction to set fines or penalties for illegal use. I think that needs to go to the province. So we did meet with Collin and George and Z, I think, who's maybe coming in as well today, on February 17th, a small working group from the committee. We shared some of our concerns, things like, there's been progress, certainly with some of the smaller properties. We have heard, and I think we heard from Collin, that there was some fines levied or an action against one of the larger lots in the east part of Milton. But we don't get a lot of information. We don't get updates from NEC or Grand River. The larger lots, the larger issues with illegal dumping appear to be relatively unchanged or potentially escalating, although I haven't heard much lately as we head into the warmer weather. One of the other big issues is the risk to the environment, the soil, the water. There's been no evidence of testing, no evidence of involvement of the Ministry of Environment, so that came up. And it takes a long time to get anything done. Backlogs at the courts, lack of resources and enforcement have just led to these things dragging on, as many of you know, for years. So we shared all of that and asked them to come back to us with some more information. They also did share what's been going on. I'm sure they'll talk about that later, that there is a resource now assigned at the town to work on some of these active enforcement files with the town prosecutor. There's more judicial resources in the area to address the backlog, and I think Z have indicated that the backlog is decreasing. The town of Milton staff, and I think Collin will speak to this maybe later, is involved with a working group related to province-wide enforcement of the illegal commercial truck lots and parking, which is impacting everywhere. Obviously we hear nothing from the NEC, from Grand River, so can we get an update from Mayor France or someone? Don't need the specifics, don't need the private information shared, but is there progress being made, I guess is the key question. And then follow up with the Ministry of Environment as well. Is there any testing being done? Is there a plan to do any testing on any of the material that's being dumped illegally or the effect on the water? We don't know the long-term effects, and most of these issues go on for so many years that they're a done deal and the damage is done, and we just don't know what the damage is at this point. We also wanted an escalation to the municipal group that they're working with regarding lack of access to legal truck lots and legal dumping areas in Halton. Obviously, they need to go somewhere. You know, these trucks need to park somewhere. We're going to have more trucks coming with the intermodal opening up, with the quarry as well. So they do need somewhere to park. They need somewhere to dump the fill, and I don't know that that's been addressed. And so that was something to take back to the municipal group and bring forward any of the learnings from that group as well, and how are those going to be applied in Milton. So what we'll do going forward as a committee, and ask you to join us as well, is we'll provide input into the town plans when asked to, when necessary, when appropriate. Remain engaged with the town officials, with Collin, with George, with Z, others as needed, just to keep this a top of mind topic. There's so many big issues being discussed for our area, for a very, very rapidly growing area, and that we don't want this one to be lost. And we'll maintain a list of properties of concern, but if you identify an issue, you see an issue, please do report it to bylaw. There is a way to do that through the town website. I'm happy to take them as well, but please do also report it to them. They need to get on that quickly. I don't want to be the bottleneck to anything into the town. But we do want to just make sure that we're aware of what's going on as well. So that's all I have to say for today for an update, because I'm sure you'll know more from the people that are working on this. But any questions? No? Okay. Well, thanks for letting me go first, because I did have to get home. So.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Lisa. You're done an amazing job. Okay, well, next we have Jordan and JP from Police Services, and they're going to introduce themselves with their last names because I didn't write them down. And so again, we've asked them to speak for less than 10 minutes if they can, and certainly to be available after that for questions.
Okay, just let me know if I go in and out of the mic. I'm not active on the mic. I'm Jordan Denny. I'm from the community unit here in 1 district, and this is Officer JP Sandu. He works out of traffic. We're just going to go over a few things here. I'm going to touch on some tools on our website that not a lot of people know about, and then JP is going to go over basically how you file a traffic complaint, kind of the back end of it, because a lot of times people just maybe file a complaint and just, kind of like the last one just said, like you don't know where it goes, right? So you kind of want to know how this process is kind of playing out. Once again, thanks for having us. We were here last year. I don't know if the weather was this great or not, but I got soaked, and it's what it is, I guess. And usually I'm in uniform, but I just got back from a lacrosse practice, and chasing a little 5-year-old around, that's more work than this, so this is okay. So we will talk up here for a little bit, and then we were going to field questions in the back. We found last year that a lot of people had more personal questions, and they were kind of lineups. Honestly, we were totally fine with it, and some people didn't really want to bring their hand in front of everybody. We'll stick around if you want to kind of meet us at the back, if there's time or breaks or after. That way we can give you a bit more time to probably answer your more personal question. And then as well, we're not going to be able to answer certain things that probably require our upper management to answer, probably from the superintendent level or at least a staff sergeant. And that's going to be probably like manpowers and response times and stuff like that. So that's going to have to come directly from them. So if you do have a question that maybe falls under that line, we'll write it down. We've got a sheet here. We'll take your information, give it to him or her, and they can get back to you. Probably through email is usually the best, and then we can go from there. So I'll touch on my part. Basically, our website, haltonpolice.ca. It's got a ton of information. It's fantastic. We've updated it recently, so we've got a few more things. It's got everything on there from, you've been a victim of a fraud, what do I do? It gives you numbers to call. Mental health resources, other resources that you might not even know about. What happens in an auto theft? It's got our kind of most wanted stuff on there. People that are caught on tape. Maybe you want to snoop around and maybe somebody you know has been up to no good or something. Who knows? Anybody, right? So it gives you all that stuff. One of the main things I do want to touch on is our crime map. So I got the tab information here. So we have a bunch of tabs. It's a pretty basic website. Bunch of tabs at the top. Under crime files, you're going to click crime map. And this is an up-to-date map of what's going on in your area. Actually, the whole region. So whole region. So if you want to see what's going on in Oakville, by all means, see what's going on in Oakville. There's tabs along the side, so you can change it to whatever you want. 7 days, a month, 6 months, full year. And it's a scroll style map, so you can kind of move it around as you see fit. I was just using it this morning, and I kind of had this area panned out right around Brookville, around the school, around this. And it's going to give you a bunch of checkboxes that you can look into of what you see fit. So if you want to know if there's been an impaired around this area, you want to know if there's been a break-in, or anything along those lines, it's going to show you, in 6 months, I did put it actually break-in to a house. In 6 months, there's no break-ins in this area. But you can span it out, you can close it in, and it just shows you little pins on the map, and you just hover over them, and it shows you date, time, and general location. So for victim protection services, it's not going to say 123 Main Street, and this is a person, here's a victim here. There's going to be a lot more to that. So it just generally within the 100 block. So 5 to 600 Guelph line, there was a impaired on January 21st at 2 a.m. It gives you pretty up-to-date stuff. So maybe if we all see it, right? Stuff goes around social media, or you hear something, did you hear there was maybe a break-in? It's pretty up to date because it's all through the back-end computer stuff. I was looking and there was stuff from calls last night. So once the call gets cleared, generally it gets updated to that crime map. So if you do hear something and you want to check it out, it's perfect. It's like, there was a break-in, or there wasn't a break-in. Maybe somebody heard it wrong. Maybe it was a different street. Maybe it was somewhere else. So it's just a way to kind of clear the air. Like, obviously, the police service, we're be transparent as possible. We want people to know what's going on in their area, so we can all kind of work together to either stop it or improve what we need to improve. And then the second, it's called the Project Safeguard. So this one's under the Services tab. And I know last year I kind of spoke about this, if you were here, kind of like crime prevention stuff to do to your home. I don't know if you took notes or not. It was a pretty awesome presentation, I guess. But if you ever, some of it's concepts, let's be like a lot of homeowners, we kind of figured it out as we go. You might need better lock, stuff like that. But if you think you need a second opinion, and you ever think, it'd be nice if someone from the police service would come by, maybe do a walk around my house, and kind of give you some tips. Maybe you do need to change your lock. Maybe that's kind of outdated lock, or maybe update the camera system, or stuff like that, just tips. And you might not have ever thought of it. So what you can do, you can fill your information on that website. You can request an inspection. Somebody will eventually reach out to you and kind of book a time. So 2 members of our auxiliary team will come out. It's usually about an hour. They do a walk around. They'll give you a full-on report at the end of it, and it's stuff that you can take, you can leave. It's just good information to have, right? Maybe we were thinking about that back door for a long time, and the officer said it'd probably be a good idea, and then you might eventually change the back door or something, right? So just a bit more peace of mind. Maybe we actually do have from a crime prevention state, our home is pretty good, right? Maybe just a little trim here, like on some trees or something like that. So I would highlight the 2 main things that are going on with our website. Like I said, there's tons of stuff on there. If you ever have any questions about certain criminal code offenses or anything, it's all listed there. So you can just Google haltpolice.ca, first thing that comes up. That's it. So Officer Sandu here, we'll talk about kind of the traffic related stuff.
Hey everyone, my name is JP. I work at the district response unit, and which is our traffic unit. Just like Jordan was saying, they revamped our website, and it's amazing. There's everything on it, victims, resources that are on there, mental health resources, what we're doing out in the community. In terms of the traffic safety, if you go to our report a traffic safety concern, that once you fill that out, it goes to our traffic sergeant, who then disseminates it between our traffic unit. And we as a traffic unit will actually go to that area and conduct enforcement. And I can tell you that on a day-to-day basis, I get so many complaints that I actually go there, and it is a beautiful way that we can respond to these citizen complaints. Also, all of that stuff is logged, so I know my traffic sergeant works directly with the city, does speed tests. If an area you guys think is really bad for accidents, and he works with the city to maybe put a stop sign there. All these are above my pay grade, but I can tell you that your traffic concerns are logged, and they're really helpful for us and the wider traffic safety. We spent hours upon hours responding to these complaints. These traffic complaints also go to the platoons as well. So if an officer is in this area for a call and they're on their way back to the station and they see a traffic area that's been highlighted, they may go do enforcement there on top of their regular duties. But our job is to respond to those complaints, and they are logged, like I said, and we work directly with the city to kind of address those complaints. I will be in the back with Jordan here to answer any questions. But I want you to know that I know traffic is one of the main concerns here in Milton, and we are working very, very hard to concern those traffic complaints. One thing I will tell you, please, if you do have a concern, report it, because that's probably the best way to address it. Rather than calling in, fill that out. It'll tell you the date, time, place, your information. You can remain anonymous if you want. And just fill out even it tells you the time, so that we know when to go there and conduct enforcement. And it's a great tool. Thank you.
Well, that's great, and it sounds like there's not much that we have to call in for anymore, that we can do it online, so that's super. In the non-emergency side. So we've got the fire services, and we've got Brittney and Jason and Gord, and they're going to introduce themselves as well, and we'll go.
Hello everybody, thanks for having us back. The councilor said we don't have to worry about any grass fires, so that's, I agree with that tonight. We don't have to worry about some flooding though. Brittney's our public educator, fire life safety public educator. She's just going to get set up here. She's going to go over some fire safety tips. And Division Chief Rosewell is our Division Chief of Fire Prevention, and he's going to go over the updates to the fire code that just occurred in 2026 and the beginning of the year there. Just to share some exciting news, on April 1st, and I'm not joking, we turned on NG 911. So what is NG 911? It's the next generation 911 service. So we left the analog bell lines and we've gone to a digital service. And what that means to you out here is if you call on your cell phone in the middle of the field, we can get that location. If you decide to jump off a building, we can catch you in the air, and it's that quick. So it's really amazing technology. The police in the back there with their maps, that's so impressive. But with the data we can get in now with this new internet going through NG911, we can start using some of that data in fire, which is going to be huge for us to see that. So I'm going to let Brittney take the safety part of the message, and then we'll pass it off to DC Rosewell.
All right, so let's get started then. So we have a few things that we're going to be covering. We're going to talk about understanding fire behavior, the importance of early detection, some code updates, like you're saying with DC Rosewell, our department initiatives, emergency preparedness, and we'll wrap up with a few questions. So as we know, fire has kind of changed with what we have in our house. So before, our house used to contain a lot more natural materials, like things built with wood and stone. These materials burned, or stuff in our house burned a lot slower. Now our house is filled with a lot more synthetic materials, which can cause fires to spread a bit more quickly. So I have a quick video that we can watch. I'm just going to skip through a few parts so we're not going through the whole thing. But this just shows us a side-by-side comparison with these different materials, so you can really understand how quickly the fire can spread. Alright, so we can see on one side we have the natural material, on the other we have synthetic. So both of them have a small fire start just in the corner of the couch over there. As we go along, you can see that the synthetic fire burns a lot faster. We get a lot more dense smoke coming off of it. And it reaches flashover at a much higher much faster speed than what the natural fires will. Alright, so we can see time to flashover was 4 minutes and 50 seconds on the synthetic side. And if we keep going along in the video, right, we'll see we get up to 30 minutes, right, and we haven't approached flashover yet. So we ran a series of tests, and with the synthetic furniture, they're all in and around 3 to 4 minutes. With natural furniture or natural materials, it was over 30. But this is why it's really important that we have early detection in our house, so that we know when the fire is happening and we can get out quick. So one of the big things that we need is working alarms. Right? These can give us crucial minutes to get out of our house safely if there is a fire. But these alarms are only as good as we let them be. So we have to make sure that we are taking care of them. So we don't want to take them down or tamper with them. We want to make sure that they stay up. We have to see smoke alarms in specific places. So we want to see them outside all of our sleeping areas and on every floor of our house. To maintain them, we have to test them. So it's simple as pushing a button. So for anyone wondering, on the screen right here, it's this little button right at the top. Some of them have a little strobe light that you can push to make sure that they're working. Next thing that you have to do is replace the batteries. Right? Once or twice a year, we ask that you switch them out. We like to use the time change, but you guys can use whatever occasion or celebration might make it easier for you to track. Our final thing that you have to do is to actually replace the entire alarm. So every 10 years, you have to take them down and switch it out with a new one. Our next tip is to come up with a plan. Right? So we want to have a plan for exactly what we're going to do and where we're going to go if there is an emergency in our house, and actually practice how we're doing it. This is especially important if we do have any young kids in the home. Sometimes when I go out to the schools and I talk to the kids about what to do when they hear the alarms, some of them are saying that you wave a tea towel or you open a window, because that's what they've seen us do when we have a little accident in the kitchen or things get a bit smoky. So it's important that we're teaching them that sometimes those alarms mean that we have to go outside and get somewhere safe. The next thing that we want to do is close the doors when we go to sleep at night. Right? Like you can see on the screen, this is a fantastic example that shows us a closed door during a fire versus an open door. Right? So you can see the room is much better preserved when we have our door closed and we just get a little bit of smoke at the edges versus this room who had an open door. Right? So again, this can give us precious time to figure out what to do or how we're going to get outside during an emergency.
How's everybody doing? Great. We're keeping you awake slowly. So I'm Division Chief Jason Rosewell. I'm honored to have taken this position last September. I've been with the Milton Fire Department since 2002 as a volunteer and became full-time in 2017 as an inspector. So I have a lot of experience in regards to the fire code, being an inspector and enforcement officer for the fire department. I felt it was necessary for me to come and introduce myself to you tonight, as it's a very important job. And we have just had a brand new code release as of January 1st of this year. Some major changes had to happen, basically for us to keep up with the Ontario building code. Usually the building code is way ahead of the fire code, unfortunately. We'd like it to be the other way around. But unfortunately, they're the ones that lay the ground rules, and then we basically follow with the safety aspect after. So I'm just going to go through some of the new code updates in regards to the fire code. I'm not going to go right in depth into it because there's a lot of technical stuff. So I just want to kind of give you the basics and what you need to know at home. Do we have farm owners here? Yeah, okay. Okay, so there's been a lot of changes to the fire code in regards to farming. I do ask if you do have some questions in regards to the updates to the fire code for the farming aspect of it. I do have my business cards back there. Please take one, give me an email, send me a message, because, as I said, some of the new code changes are pretty intense. Okay, so then I can answer your questions to the best of my ability. So in regards to your home, everybody knows you need to have a CO alarm. Okay, it's a silent killer. The CO alarms usually were to be located adjacent all sleeping areas in your home. We clearly have noticed that with basement apartments happening in the town of Milton, a lot of CO alarms were not being installed down there. So the fire code has actually changed, and now you not just only need a CO alarm adjacent to your sleeping areas, you now need to have them on every level of the home. They've also changed in regard to nursing homes as well. There's a lot more stringent rules in regards to that, as well as schools and maintenance buildings as well. New code requirements are monitored smoke alarms. So we all know, as Brittney said, we've got smoke alarms in our homes. Okay, they're all interconnected or the battery operated, depending on the year of your home. The code has changed because I do understand that, especially out here in the rural area, you've heard of the TELUS system. Has anyone got a TELUS system? No? Okay, so a TELUS system is like an advanced fire alarm system for your home. It's not quite a fire alarm system, so they call it a early residential fire warning system. So before, you always had to have smoke alarms interconnected or battery operated throughout your home. This one now alleviates that problem, and now you can actually have remote detectors. They're not alarms, they're detectors, and they're wired into your burglar system. And the burglar system has to have a proper siren. There's specific rules and regulations in regards to have this. But now this is a monitored system, which gives you even more advanced warning, whereas when your smoke alarms would activate, you would have to get up out of bed, find what the problem is. You find a problem, then you call 911. Now when these alarms go off, it automatically dispatches to the fire station, the emergency services, and the 911. So it's even more advanced. The testing and standards, as I said, there are certain regulations to it. You do have to have annual inspections, just like you would have to test your smoke alarms annually. The whole system would have to get tested by a professional. So you could work out a service agreement with TELUS, as what I've heard of, and they can actually come out and do a service agreement with you on an annual basis. The farming, agricultural. So risk of impact, fires and agricultural structure risk, human life, livestock, and economic and environmental damage. So we know once we get a fire in a farm, it's catastrophic at this point. We're talking millions and millions of dollars in livestock. Okay, so the fire code has made some regulatory changes in regards to that. Large farms, anything over 600 square meters, now require specific provisions to be put in place. So you need to have adequate water supply for firefighting. You would need to have a fire alarm system. You need to have fire safety plans, which would be submitted to Fire Prevention and Fire and Rescue Services for our review and approval. Sprinkler systems, that's going to be another big one. Okay, there's certain fire upgrades now in regards to fire separations, meaning your walls and your floorings and all that kind of jazz. So there is a lot more that's going on in regards to farming. As I said, there's a lot more on the website, on the Ontario Farmers website in regards to the fire code and changes. But as I said, I'm happy to help you as much as I possibly can. When you're getting these new barns built and they're bigger than 600 meters squared, they have to be designed by proper engineers and architects, because they will take the provisions for the building code and the fire code and implement that for you, so therefore you don't have an illegal structure. Regular maintenance, so if you have staff, especially if it's an equestrian building, you've got in-house staff, they also now have to be trained on how all the systems work. So it's almost like an industrial commercial building that you would find in town. All employees now have to be taught in regards to how the systems work and what they do.
The other thing we wanted to talk about was lithium-ion batteries. So these batteries are in a lot of things that we're using day to day now, right? They're in phones, laptops, power tools. So it's important that we know how to charge and use them safely, and also where to charge them. So with things like our phones or tablets or laptops, we have to make sure that we're putting them on a hard, flat surface and not putting it on anything soft, like beds or couches or under a pillow. And we also want to make sure that if we do notice any damage to our batteries, that we stop using them, right? Replace it with a new one. Because these fires from lithium-ion batteries, they can go pretty quick and they get really hot really fast, right? So we want to make sure that we're minimizing the risk. And then just quickly some things that we've been doing out here. So We've been going to the schools for public education, so we have a program that we've been running for the grades 7 and 8 and 3-4 classes. We also have a proactive inspection of the schools, so we can go in and make sure that everything's compliant with the codes. And like our deputy was saying, we've also updated our communication. So our computer-aided dispatch system has updated so that we get better location. And we've also included the length of some rural driveways. Right. And then for emergency preparedness, so while we need to be prepared if there's a fire, there's also a bunch of other emergencies that we should make sure that we're prepared for. Right, so that ranges from wildfires, winter storms, thunderstorms, even cyber attacks. So one of the things we recommend that you guys have in your home is a 72-hour kit. So this should be good for your entire household. You want to have supplies that can last you 3 days. So that includes things like food, water, medication, anything that you might need. If you wanted to get some more information on that, you can visit canada.ca/getprepared. And we will also have some more information coming out with Emergency Preparedness Week coming up, which is the first week of May. So just in conclusion, working smoke alarms can save your lives, so make sure that you have them in your house and make sure that they're working. And simple actions and habits can help save your life, your families, help protect your property and your community. Right, so you want to make sure that we stay up to date on that. Okay, questions?
We don't have an electric car, but there are a lot more of them around now. And I've heard that if they catch on fire, like you've got some big issues, like car accidents with the big batteries going off. Like, is there any tips that you can give the general population about if you encounter a fire in an electric vehicle or an accident happens and what are your tips to the average person in that situation?
Yeah, so a couple tips. Stay away from the vehicle. It's always charged. It's always energized. And if it's on fire, it takes a large volume of water. So we actually hook into a water supply to it. In Europe, they're actually bringing a dumpster and dumping the car in and taking it away. So we have to monitor that vehicle for 24 hours after. So disposing of that vehicle is a big problem. So we use copious amounts of water to manage those. But my advice to you would be, as a bystander, get everybody away from the vehicle if you can, and then let the fire department come in.
Have you encountered that in Halton?
On the 401, they've had those. Yeah, we've had a couple of them.
How influential is the insurance industry regarding fire detectors and that sort of thing in your house? I mean, as far as reflecting on your policy, on your home policy and that sort of thing.
You're asking about the monitored system, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you have the fire detection.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it is very, very early warning detection system. So I'm not speaking on behalf of insurance companies because I'm not qualified to do that, but I'm pretty sure if I was your insurance agent and you came to me and said, I've got an advanced early detection system, I probably would look at your policy. As I said, we're talking in seconds is where the problems can happen. And these systems, I've seen them firsthand by doing inspections on buildings and homes that have them. They're so fast that majority of the time where we would get a call and we could show up, sometimes it's because the person didn't even know because the monitoring company didn't call them first and let us know beforehand. So that's why I was saying before, with these systems, you need to have the sirens inside. So have it professionally installed. Make sure you're getting it maintained. And as I said, I would reach out to the insurance company and ask them in regards to if there's any rebates even involved with having that done.
They tend to focus on how far away the fire station is. I had that discussion with my insurance agent. The early detection, they always go back on how far is the fire station from where you live.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they're a little bit behind us. I mean, as I said, with advanced systems, you want to get the fire department moving as fast as possible if you have a problem, right? So, again, the technology changes that are coming around are getting faster and faster and faster. So,
Insurance companies don't Don't change that.
Right. At the back?
No, I just want to give my own experience. I did have TELUS at my old house, and when I had it installed, they did lower my insurance because I had a monitoring system.
Okay, thank you for your input, appreciate it.
Please, go ahead.
Smaller than a vehicle, an electric car. What about because e-bikes are becoming so popular at homes? How do you recommend you charge it or don't charge it, or how you store it? Because I've been shown how they can just implode quite quickly.
Absolutely, as Brittney made a comment, you have to check to make sure the batteries are not damaged. So typically with like our lithium battery drills, bikes, and scooters as much, if they get dropped, the batteries are damaged. I've taken a few courses on lithium batteries, and it's amazing how much damage can get done internally that you don't see physically. And what happens is the problem with the fires is you see these kids running around towns or running up and down the streets with 2 or 3 of them on these scooters. The scooter's not designed for that. So you put an extra strain and stress on that battery, which makes the battery overheat. What they're doing is not allowing the battery to cool down before charging it again. So what they do is they basically get off the scooter or they get off the bike, they get into the garage, they get into the home, they get into the apartment, they plug it in right away. We know kids want to go faster on these things, people want to go faster. So what they do is they go overseas and they import these batteries from China or wherever, and they're not meant for that particular bike. So they buy speed chargers to keep up with the problem, so they want to get on faster. That's where the problems are happening, because they're buying batteries and chargers that are not designed for that particular bike. When I go and talk to schools and I talk to people in general in regards to these electric bikes, the safest thing you need to do is to disconnect the battery from the bike or the scooter, even your drills, let it cool down after using it to the point where it's cold, and then plug it in and monitor it accordingly. Okay, ideally, I would like to see if you've got a garage or a shed or a workshop, put them out there and let them charge out there, so that way it's away from you if you're sleeping at night, especially. I myself personally, in my garage, I have 4 of these lithium batteries for my drills. I make sure they're disconnected, and I actually bought a digital timer to plug into my wall, and then I have the chargers plugged into that digital timer. It's a surge protector as well, and I let it charge at 2 hours of a cycle. So I let it charge for 2 hours, it shut off for 8, it's on for 2, so there's no chance of it overheating. That's the only advice I can really give you. There's no kind of rock solid answer to give you that. It's just you just have to take the precautions. So what I do is I recommend definitely disconnecting it from the unit, letting it cool, and then go ahead and charge it. Does that answer your question? Okay.
One more quick one about the farm, the changes to the code regarding farm buildings. So 600 square meters was the threshold.
Yes.
So are horse arenas expected to put in sprinkler systems in this area that are larger than 6,000 square feet?
So that I can answer by email for you, as I said, because some of these things do get pretty technical. They have made changes where anything 600 meters squared and above, where you would have an arena stadium inside, are now not allowed. So there has been changes done. So yeah, that's.
Have they consulted with the farm industry over this? Because that's a significant.
That unfortunately I can't answer for. I can only tell you what comes down to us that we have to then progress through. But as I said, you can go on the website e-laws and look up the Ontario Fire Code. It's free of charge. Anybody can look at it. It's a PDF. And you basically can just type in farms and it will come up with everything in regards to that, in regards to the regulations.
Just clarification, current ones are grandfathered, are they?
Yes. Yeah, we're talking like if you build a brand new one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
that's better.
Yes. Sorry, I don't think I appreciate that. I saw myself spiraling.
Everyone's like panicking.
It's on the due belts. So when somebody in their barn it falls down and they say, you know what, I want to upgrade, I want to build a bigger one, then yes, you would have to fall into the new rules and regulations at that point. Okay. Sir.
What's the 30,000 foot on the hall on Reed? Is it going to be personed again? Are there going to be firefighters at that station again?
Are you talking Station 2 up in Campbellville?
I'm not sure the number.
Yeah. So there's no immediate plans. We just had our fire master plan redone, so we get consultants in to have a look, and the risk isn't significant enough to deem it necessary to staff that full time at this time. So.
And futures?
It's not in the current master plan, so the councilor looks like he wants to speak to that.
Just when you read the plan, in 2024, there were only 6 calls from the rural area. A lot of the other calls go to the highway accidents, to the fire, and 6.
Yeah, just to go over those numbers, so about 300 or 400 calls a year, 50% are medical, 50% of those are MVC roughly on a rough average over the last 4 years, and then out of the 50% that are MVCs, motor vehicle accidents, 50% of those are out on the highway. So that's, yeah.
Okay, thanks again. All right, so I'm going to pass this over to Scott, who's going to introduce himself.
Hi everybody, I'm Scott Collin. I'm Advanced Care Paramedic and Education Superintendent with Hope Region Paramedic Services. I'm glad that my colleagues in the fire service were able to clarify the piece about sprinkler systems, because I thought I was going to actually have to pull the defibrillator off the wall and use it myself. Medical joke for that. I think I've actually been a paramedic longer than there's been a light at Campbellville Road and Highway 20, or 50 sideways, so I'm just old. Anyway, I'm going to talk to you guys about sort of what we do. I'll give you an overview of paramedic services. Councilor, thanks for being here. Sharon, thanks for inviting us. I know one of my colleagues was here last year, and this is my first time, so be gentle. So, currently Collin Region Paramedic Services is responsible for 60,000 calls a year. We transport about 36,000 patients. We cover the whole region, so we cover Oakville and Burlington, all of rural Milton, including all of you, the town of Milton, all lands. We have, at peak during the day, 24 vehicles on the road, and at night we have 14 vehicles on the road. We also have ambulances that we usually staff with 2 paramedics. We have first response vehicles and supervisor vehicles that are staffed with 1 paramedic. The disparity between the 60,000 total and the 36,000 is because we do a lot of calls where we go and we treat and we leave people at home for various reasons. Or we get there and we're canceled because they've decided they don't need our services anymore. I'll also say I'm happy to answer questions. If you've got a personal story or a personal question that you want to ask, just because of HIPAA stuff, we'll chat in the corner and I'll take your information, okay? And if it's something that I don't have an answer to now, I'll try and give you an answer. Like my police colleagues, I may have to go to people about my pay. So one of the biggest questions we get asked around is when you actually call 911, what happens? Who's had to call 911? How'd it go?
Fantastic.
How recent was it?
Within a year.
Okay. We went to a new dispatching system 2 years ago. We were the first in the province because, unfortunately, we're really good at what we do, and the province really appreciates how well and how effectively our paramedics take on new initiatives. So we usually get saddled with anything that's new in the province. And when they rolled out the new dispatch system, we were the only ones in the province using it at the time, and it was very challenging because we were on a totally different dispatch system than every other service in the province was. Fortunately, as of this year, our friends in Hamilton were the last to get their act together and get down onto this new dispatching system. So I don't know that it's new anymore. I guess it's the dispatching system. So what happens when you call, you'll get a call taker. They're going to ask a lot of information. The more information you have, the better. If you don't have all the information, that's also fine. One of the key components of this dispatching system is it's medically based. So there'll be a lot of questions about what's happening with the person. There'll be a lot of questions about what's happening with their medical condition, and a lot about what's happened. But it's a medically based priority system. So somebody who's really sick, going to die in the next couple minutes if paramedics and our colleagues don't show up, gets a higher priority than somebody with a stubbed toe. I guess people call for stubbed toes.
What?
I can't make it up. So, you're going to get asked, like I said, a lot of questions. You may get put on hold briefly, depending on the situation. And the reason you get put on hold is because they're providing information to the dispatcher, who's the actual person that's going to send the vehicles to the call. So that's how that works. It can be frustrating sometimes because they do seem to ask a lot of questions. Be patient. You know, even though you think nothing's happening, there's a lot going on in the background. We're on our way. And whether that's the police and the fire and us coming, or just us, run away. Depending on the situation, depending on the patient condition, you may have all 3 emergency services come. And depending on the situation is. For a car accident, for example, we're all coming. For somebody who's had a heart attack and died, and it has CPR being performed on them, we're all coming. For things like a stubbed toe, we're probably just going to get paramedics. As far as what you can take with you, or once we get there, in Colton we have 2 levels of paramedics. There's advanced care paramedics and primary care paramedics. Primary care paramedics are able to provide care under medical directives for a variety of medical conditions. Advanced care paramedics have slightly more tools in the kit that they can bring to the scene. We try to have an ACP and a PCP under the vehicle, but there's only, of the 300 paramedics in the region, there's about, what are we at now, 95 ACPs. So you can see 24 vehicles at peak, and do the math in your head. I can't do that math, it's too big for me. We can't really get an ACP on every truck. Some of those first response vehicles that I talked about have ACPs on them. So they'll send 2 trucks. They'll send the primary care and the ACP, depending on what the situation is. Again, the higher priority, most critical patients are going to get an ACP. Once we get there, we're going to ask a lot of questions. Many of the questions you've already answered on the phone. If you've ever had to have an ambulance come to your house more than once, the first time I walk in your house is probably the first time I've met you. Unless you're a complex client and we've been there more than once a day, and I come for the second call, I might know who you are. But chances are this is the first time I've met you. And so I'm going to ask you all the questions I got asked previously. And if anybody's got a medical system, we've always asked the same questions time and time again. Some of those key questions: what medications are you taking? What allergies do you have to medications? What happened? What kind of medical history do you have? And if you're towards the end of life, we might ask if you have a DNR. Okay? I would encourage everybody to do a couple things. If you've got a long list of medications, get that list of medications printed, stick it on your fridge. Stick it somewhere where you know where it is, where you can grab it and hand it to us. It can also include your medical history. If you've got a long list, even if you've got a short list of medical history, that's really handy. Have your health card ready. I've got something over here, if anybody's interested. We have these things called Vials of Life. It's a program that we started, I swear, 1,000 years ago. But basically it's a sheet that has a place for you to write all your information out, stick it in your fridge, stick a little sticker on your fridge, and we know that it's in there, and we'll just go grab it. For those that have do not resuscitate orders or do not resuscitate confirmation forms, please have those handy as well. They're really important, especially if it is an end-of-life situation. Okay. I've covered that. Not my slide deck, I can't claim that one. Especially in rural areas, sometimes we have challenges finding your house. So anything you can do to help us find your house, especially at 3 o'clock in the morning when the snow's blowing sideways, is helpful. Telling me that providing the information that the house has a red door, or you're beside the Smith, that's awesome. Back in the dark ages when I started in the 1800s, we actually had to use map books to figure these things out. We now actually have really solid GPS that helps us find places. So things you can do, obviously, from the lights on. Seems obvious. If you've got a long driveway lights, flip them on. If you can put a car at the end of the driveway with the 4-ways going, also helpful. Don't feel like you have to run out in your pajamas at 3 o'clock in the morning in a snowstorm and park a car at the end of the driveway with the lights flashing. We'll find you. Leave the door unlocked. If there's an access route that you think might be helpful, let us know. But don't be surprised if the medics get there, have a look around and go, that's not going to work for us. All right? But we'll figure out how to get in there. Picking up on some safety tips. For people that are having mobility issues, we highly recommend grab bars and walking rails, raised toilet seats, if you can get a bidet, handheld shower heads, anti-slip mats are really good. Some other safety tips: make sure your rugs are nailed down. Make sure you've got stairs that are safe and well lit. Anybody fall and not get up? So a really handy way to get up: roll yourself onto your stomach, get a chair nearby, climb up on the chair. For those of you that are mobility challenged, this is a really good thing. For those of you that have older parents that you're dealing with, or older folks in your family that you're dealing with, really handy. We're happy to come help you out if needed. Like I said, emergency information files available at the back. Happy to have them, hand them out to you. A couple of programs. So we have a 911 side that does what it sounds like. We respond to 911 calls. We also have a community paramedic program. We have several specialized programs, but this is the other one that we'll talk a bit about. Our community paramedics are a stopgap for people who are living at home, not ready to go into extended care or a care center, but kind of fall through the cracks otherwise. It's a very active program. It takes about 1,600 calls out of the system a year, which is significant when you look at the numbers. These guys do a lot of community monitoring, but you may hear this talk about CP medics. They're basically home paramedics. And they're available in the community. I'm happy to answer any questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, we do have a lot of farms around here,
Yes.
and oftentimes you have fields that, sure, they're way at the back of the farm, they're maybe off another road, you have access. What's the best way to, in your estimation, to make those noticeable? How to find those, like number-wise? Because we have our emergency number, which is on the farm.
Yeah,
and on
100%
the
where you're coming from.
farm,
Sure.
the
Yeah,
field.
and that's a case where you say, you just come down by the barn, take a left down the farm lane, it's 3 fields back. A couple of things you can do. If you can send somebody to meet us and direct us, that's probably the number one and best way to do it. Okay? And we understand sometimes it takes a while to get out from the back field out to the road, and the access might be weird. But I would say that's probably the best way. Just have somebody come and meet us and direct us, and we can follow. If you can get a tractor down the laneway, we can get an ambulance down the laneway. Getting back out might be a challenge. We don't want to back out. I don't want to back out a kilometer from a field, but
Just often there are fields that maybe they aren't even attached to your farm.
Yeah.
They're just a field. There's no house with it, so they don't really have an emergency number. per
Yeah.
se. So, like, is there a way that the town or we could work on getting those labeled properly to,
It's a good question. That's one of the ones that's probably on the favorite. But I appreciate where you're coming from. Ideally, somebody meets us and directs us. If nobody's available, or if there was a way to figure that out.
Yeah, just the new communication center that comes up on your cell phone, we can pinpoint it to you. Okay. Now, I'm not sure, so we would have to, the call would have to get to us.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's technology.
And I think that's the other thing is we do, when it comes to rural response, we do share a lot of information, and we will find you. We will get to you. So it might take us a while, unfortunately. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was great, thank you. Jason, just because you're back there, or I met any one of you, I was supposed to ask where we go to get fire permits and who we call if we see a big fire that's unattended and we're concerned. There we go.
Sure. You want me to come down
You
there?
got a good voice, or?
I'm gonna bring you a voice.
I feel like you can do it.
Fire permits, you can go on the Milton Fire Department's website. You click on the website and it tells you which permits you want to get when you start filling out the application. And it comes into our fire prevention division for fire permits. And it's usually about 48 business hours because we're pretty busy for us to review it. And then we review your previous permits, where your location is, and then we would approve it. You would get an email back with a link to click, and then you would pay for your permit at that point. And then you get a return email back saying, congratulations, you've got a burn permit. Please follow the rules. If you do witness there is a fire happening, a large fire in a field that is unattended, obviously call it in, because who knows who said it, why they said it. So we will respond accordingly, in regards to that, and fire prevention is also notified as well about those fires, because again, we had the whole reason for these agricultural burn permits for us to do actual on-site inspections is because we were having a lot of grass fires in the previous years, caused because the fire got away, because it was too big. So there is site parameters in regards to agricultural brush permits. So the agricultural, because it's a larger fire permits, we want to come and have a look and see exactly where you want it on your property. And we'll give you advice and stuff in regards to precautions and what to take. So we're kind of eliminating that. Since we have started that program, I don't remember the very last large grass fire that we did. So the program is very successful. I'm quite happy with it. But yeah, if you want a burn permit, please go onto the Notifier website and fund fire permits and just click away.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'm going to change hats here, and I'm also the chair of Action Milton. So I'm just going to give you a little update. I think hopefully a lot of you have been at our community meetings and such. So you remember that 8 years ago, Cindy called us all together because someone saw a little tiny sign on Twist Road that said there could be a quarry here, basically. And so the community came together, and out of that, we have the residents group called Action. Gary is here, he's at the back, he's got maps if you wanted to talk to him. Cindy is on the board, and unfortunately our other board members couldn't be here. Of course, our concern is it's too close to the 401 potentially, there's CP rail, and of course the traffic in the village of Campbellville, which was a haul route, or which would be a haul route, which won't be a haul route. We have received support from all levels of government actually, which is great. From our MPP, from Home Region, Collin Best, of course, is here, and from Milton Council. Even Premier Ford said he would stop the quarry. He hasn't yet, but yeah. And so we're at a point where there is a work plan that the ministry has to approve that James Dick, the proponents, has submitted, because it's a proponent-driven process, so it will take as long as it takes. As most of you know, the environmental call for comments went in November, just before December, and they always try and pick Christmas, I think. James Dick, that is. And so we're waiting to see what the approved work plan is, and that's where we're at. And I also want to talk a little bit about the roadside cleanup. And there's Betty's here, and she has some kits. If you haven't signed up, if you wish to sign up, there's also a sign-up list. And actually, Betty put together a little history that I had forgotten about, and that's once upon a time we had about 200 participants, and that was the one-day event, as some of you will remember. Because of COVID, the model changed so that everyone who wanted to participate got a kit. And that kit has all the things that you need, the garbage bags with tags, gloves, grabbers, all of the things. And amazingly, we're up to 135 plus kids and 350 participants, which are families and individuals. And the region has helped us. Betty does things like ordering the supplies, buying the grabbers, all of the online registration, mass emails, responding to individuals. I think she and Mark put in about 50 hours each time that they've done this over the last 8 years. And it's time that we had someone else take over. So all of this is to tell you that it's a great event. We hope you participate, and there's also a sign-up list if you're interested in signing up to be on the committee for next year's roadside cleanup. And it's pretty amazing what people find. Okay, and now I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Sibbitt, who is, of course, the president and treasurer of Campbellville Community Association.
Thank you. Hello. Oh, I brought a piece of paper because I always forget what I want to talk about, and I get home and I get mad at myself because I don't talk about the things. Anyways, yes. Hello. I'm Jennifer Sibbitt. I am the president of Campbellville Community Association. One of the things wanted to make Campbellville better and the best place to live, which I also believe in. So over the years, we've done a lot of really amazing, incredible things, from beautification to events to RCMP musical ride. We brought that in. So it's a really great way to get involved in the community. I've met so many wonderful people who have become wonderful friends over the years with it as well. So some of the things that we've done, well, I will talk about the year ahead. So we talked about the roadside cleanup coming up next week. I just wanted to also thank the Milton Community Fund for helping us pay for a lot of the supplies that come through, because it does cost a lot of money to put that together. And thank you to Betty for organizing it all, because it is a lot of work. You can also register if you don't get a chance to talk to Betty tonight. You can register online at campbellville.net. It is a self-inflicted cleanup procedure. So, and you get to put it out with your roadside garbage, so on garbage day, so it can keep it clean that way. Again, thank you to the Newton Community Fund. We're going to be hosting the outdoor movie nights again at Barkley Park. There'll be 3 of them again this year. So we'll have to pick some dates that work. But Cars is 20 years old, the cartoon Cars, so I think that's going to be one of the movies that comes out. So that's one of my favorites, so we're going to play that one for sure. One of the other things we asked for this year from the Milton Community Fund is funding for a Canada Day picnic. We did a picnic last year. We had a bunch of people come out, which was a lot of fun. So this year we're going to add some bouncy castles and some snacks. I don't know, it'll be fun. Anyway, so we're going to put that together. But we are looking for volunteers or somebody that wants to head that up as a committee to put that together. Again, the permits are there, the insurance is there, we've got the money to do it, we just need some humans to help put that together. I'm sure you've heard there's going to be an election this year in the municipals, so one of the things that the Community Association has done over the past several years is put together an all candidates meeting. So that's when we bring all the candidates together, we put them in the hot seat, we get to ask your questions, and we always have a really wonderful turnout for that. Most importantly, vote. I don't care who you vote for. Please do it, though. It's very important we get out there. I think that, I say it every time, but I really do think if all of the rural community went out and voted, we get to choose who's our next representative. So definitely make sure that's on your calendar. I believe it is Monday, October 26th. Okay. And I'm going to be really annoying about that to make it be an open vote. And we have our holiday events, which are always really big favorites. We do a tree lighting at Gazebo Park, which is just really fun to sing along. And you get to light our tree this year, which is really fun. We have the Winter Wonderland event and market, and that's held in conjunction with the racetrack, Mohawk Racetrack, which is a vendor market. A lot of local vendors come out and do that, but that's also a lot of fun because it's free for families to come out, and there's lots of activities. And of course, our annual Santa Claus Parade. The Santa Claus Parade is also a lot of work. We start as soon as the parade is over. We're already planning for next year and starting to put things together. And we're always looking for helpers with that as well. So if you're really good at filling out permits, or you really have a band in mind, or like, we will take whatever help we can get. So please do check with that. Some of the other things we do that you don't see, beautification. Ruth and Gary go out and plant flowers for us down in the village, which makes it look nice. The banners that are crumbling on downtown. That's something that we did when we did the first musical ride in 2018, 2019. Those clearly need to be replaced, so that's something that we have a committee looking about, get some quotes and stuff. Some of the things we're thinking of doing are metal ones like what Lowville has to make them more permanent so that they don't rot, I guess, when we get neglected. So. And of course, one of the big things that we're having that is important to us is, of course, growing our membership. We have our annual AGM event, which is also a volunteer appreciation event. You don't have to volunteer with the DCCA, Campbellville Community Association. This isn't anything. If you are a volunteer, we love you, and we think that you should be appreciated, whether it's in the schools or your church, communities, whatever. We would like you to come out and be appreciated, and of course, become a member of our organization. It's $15 a year, or $40 for 3 years. That money doesn't really get you anything except gloating that you're part of the community association, but it does help us in terms of when we do apply for Milton Community Fund funding, it shows that we have a thriving community that's engaged, right? And they want to be able to throw money at people who are engaged in the community. So it helps us show that, yes, we have a good membership, we're very involved, and of course that just helps us apply for different things. I think that's about it. If you would like to get a membership tonight, and I would love you to get a membership tonight, Ruth is at the back. She's happy to take your money, and if you don't want to give money out today, you can get more information there. Again, everything everything's on Campbellville.net. One other last thing I will say, if there is an event that you would like to host in the community that will involve everybody, I would love to help you plan it in terms of giving you those resources. So if there is something out there that you'd really love to see, some things that we've done in the past are golf tournaments, we've done baseball games, we've done dances, we've done all sorts of things, street festivals. We just need that couple of people to want to run it, and we've got a board that's available to help you plan that and make sure that everything's going the right way. So, any questions about Campbellville Community Association? How awesome we are! All right, thank you so much, everyone.
I should add that I was just reminded that, of course, the roadside cleanup starts on April 25th and ends on Saturday, May 2nd at the Tennis Center, and we have the community barbecue there that is supported by the fund that Cindy organizes, so please participate. Okay, now I get to introduce our local councilor, George.
You didn't say my last name.
Minakakis. It's okay, Siri says it for me.
Siri does say it for you. How you guys doing?
Okay.
So, can I tell you my EV story first?
Sure.
You're sitting in the EV, and that's a Tesla. And it tells you you must leave the vehicle immediately. Battery problem imminent. The screen starts flashing. It goes into a countdown, and you have to leave the vehicle. I'm thinking, this can't be real. But I'm parked there, and then it says, you have 30 seconds, the doors will lock. With me in it. So I exit the vehicle, call for help. Turns out it's just a circuit. But because the car locked up, they had to drag the car with a winch to the ramp, to the on-ramp of the truck. And the switch was $200, and fixing the repair of the wheels was $1,400. So anyway. So that's technology for you. Okay, so the most important question people ask me, how do you like your new job? I said, it's great. You know why? Because it's a lot easier than running 5 companies at one time. It's a lot easier. And you know what else? You guys calling me up, asking me great questions, and I learn a lot of stuff. And the other thing that I love about it is I talk to people. Right? When I used to run a company, I'd go to stores on Sundays. And my staff would say, he's out, they would report on me. He's out there again. So just know that I'm out there. And in the back, so don't forget, there's business cards back there, so you can contact me. Maybe not on Sunday, but you can contact me. All right, so we live in a great community in the rural area. And just recently I went through our plan, master plan, I went through the official plan. It's a lot of dry reading. But I went through it, and I want to tell you what I've learned, particularly with the official plan. The rural area is being treated as a major part of Milton's identity, not left over land and not left behind, which is great, because I think some of you did come out to the official plan meeting that was held here, and it was good news. And the other part was that the plan says the rural area makes up about 77% of the land area, and is built around rural lands, prime agricultural area, hamlets, and mineral aggregate resources. Sorry, Sharon, I had to say that too. So, with prime agricultural lands, it gets a very strong protection. So it's good news. And we had John Opstein back there, and he made a great presentation on Monday on farmland and the importance of it. And hamlet growth. Somebody called me up and said, George, do you think we could have a retirement home built in the rural area? And it's because they don't want to move out when they retire. And I said, unfortunately, no. Because there's only so many houses that we can build out here to be supported by water. That is good news, though, because at the same time, it helps keep the character of the area, and it's protected. The plan also supports a rural economy in terms of the agriculture and farmland diversified uses. But the good news is you won't see the build-out of truck depots. And I think what you know is that there was an application for the Mohawk Inn to turn out a truck depot, and Collin and I, voted against it, but all councilors voted against it. Thank you, Samir. And it was
It was unanimous because it just was not the right thing for the community at all. And water in the environment is, it rains out here, and the water does pool, and it does flood, and the roads get slick, and things happen. You know, I've been on the hydro board for 13 years, not anymore. But I'll tell you, we took care of the issue of power, making sure the rural area doesn't flicker on and off. If the power does go off in the rural area, I think the emergency services people know this, it's an accident. Unless it's weather related, it's an accident. Somebody's driven into a pole. So, you know, it's important that we remind ourselves and our neighbors and our friends and families that to be careful out there because things do happen and power does go off. Question about speeding in the area. And I can tell you that people ask me about speed bumps. Some people like them. Not everyone likes them. I will tell you that they do work, but what does happen, these people who are using their GPSs get rerouted to different roads and they create problems elsewhere. So you may clean up the issues in one road, you create issues somewhere else. So that is the downside of this. With that said, I want to just say, because I'm going to keep you very pithy here because it's getting dark. I want to thank everyone from the fire, from the emergency services. You guys do a great job. You really do. You know, I can vouch myself, you know, that Gary's back there, and we were coming back from a meeting, and my wife was texting me, but I had my phone on mute, and my dad was dying. And you guys all showed up. All of you showed up there. And it was, we were really happy that happened. But just the same, thank you. Thanks, everyone. If you have questions, the cards are back there. You can get them. Thank you.
Now I get to introduce our town and regional councilor, who you all know, of course, Collin. And Collin has a last name to its best.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I won't make any jokes about being the last either. I am the last speaker, right? Not quite. Okay, that's good. Well, just on that, following George's information about the official plan, we've got some of the maps there for the new official plan. If you want some light reading, it's only 543 pages, so if you remember to sleep, go for it. Just while we're here, I just also want to introduce Margaret Doherty. He's not only a trustee for the Milton Catholic District School Board, he's also the chair, so anything regarding Catholic schools, talk to him. Also, Regional Councilor Samir Ali is here too, so anything that's going wrong in the town, talk to her. A few items in regional is we just had a presentation today from our Public Works Department regarding the rollout of the automatic cart program for both the green bins and garbage. It is going to be rolled out to the west of Guelph Line in April 2027, to the east of Guelph Line in April 2028. Everyone in those areas will be getting further notices. You have your choice between large and small bins. Please follow halton.ca/waste for more details on that. April 29th, we do have an open house at the Nassagaweya Tennis Center for stormwater. It is something important, especially on rainy days like today. So if you are interested and concerned about flooding, please come. May 4th to 10th, we have, if you're looking for some free compost, we have a whole compost program. You can come and get some free, I think it's up to 6 bags at the Waste Management site. We also have coming up is actually tomorrow, I'm getting an update on the rural intersections from our Public Works Department. They give us an annual update for each ward, where the constructions are, where the reviews. I've heard from a number of people regarding First Line, 20th Side Road, 10th Side Road in Guelph Line, and also Campbellville Side Road in the Guelph Line, which seems like even tonight, you've got about 2 kilometer backup every time the 401 backs up. So I'll be posting that information on all the different groups, and also to thank Mike McLaughlin for keeping the website for the Facebook page for the Nassagaweya Community Consultation Committee, because we have to be informed. If you're not too sure who to talk to, between George and myself, we can direct you on to the various agencies, because you can see this is probably the most active area of the ward. In the urban area of Ward 1, we never had meetings like this. This is where people are active, they want to know what's going on, and they want to help out. So I'd like to thank you all for coming. And if you have any questions, ask George.
Okay, two things actually, before we go to our last speaker. MPP Zighamid had suggested that he might be able to be here. Apparently he was. Yes, go ahead.
He posted online that his dog tried to kiss a porcupine, and so he was unable to make it. He sends his regrets.
Perfect. Okay. And,
the porcupine.
In fact, I actually knew about his dog. I didn't realize it was today. So
Yeah.
I've seen a photo. Of course, MPP Van Cliverton is in Ottawa at this moment. And he has sent his office manager, Neil Farr, if you could just wave. And if you have any questions on her or for her office or for Adam, please talk to her afterwards. Okay, so we now have Collin, who's the executive director, and Karen Rowley, who is going to present as well. We had her come to one of our committee meetings, and they're from Crime Stoppers and the Community Watch. And so, please.
Thank you, Sharon. Good evening, everyone. I want to say thank you to the councilors, thank you to Sharon for pulling this together. Getting the community together like this is important to us too. As a nonprofit, it's important to have people involved. Councilors have reached out to us over the last few months and have supported us. So the police service and all the emergency services here, huge help. But most importantly, it's the residents. Seeing this many people here, we did not expect this. This is great news. Usually in a community event like this, it's hard to get people engaged in what's happening, and the real success of any program in any community is the people who live there, the people who bring their concerns forward and help make change. So us as Crime Stoppers, I'm here to just present to you very high level who we are, and more importantly that Karen and I, she's the chair, my boss, be nice to her. We'll be here afterwards to answer all your questions more detailed about this. But for those of you who don't know, Crime Stoppers is a nonprofit organization. We've been running for 38 years in the Halton region. I've been with the program for about 13 years and happily been the executive director for the last almost 8 years. So we have about 150 volunteers where we run many programs in schools, co-op programs, safety education, fraud awareness for seniors, and so on. But most importantly, the one piece that really got us involved with Ward 1 and in Ward 3 out here in Milton was our Community Watch program, which is currently in a pilot program. We are working towards launching this program full force in around January 2027, and that's for including Ward 1. And that's why we were invited by Councilor Minakakis to come on out and speak to all of you about the value of this program. It's a no-cost free program where, by raising hands, do you guys remember block parents, those type of things? Yeah. I'm as old as that too, so it was a, and just let the councilor know, the best is last year, the best calling is last year. So we thought to ourselves, we want to do more pieces, more big impact in communities. And one of the councilors, Councilor Noel, reached out to me and said, why don't you guys run like a neighborhood watch? So what we effectively have done is a community watch, a modernized version of that. To you as residents, that means free lawn signs, free stickers, free information, and us attending meetings like this and joining you and hearing what your concerns are. Because I'm not going to pretend that I know what happens in rural communities. I grew up in Oakville and I live in Waterdown. So Waterdown is no more rural by any stretch of the imagination. But that's what it was when I was a kid, at least. So we wanted to learn about what concerns Ward 1, what's important to you. So this program that we're running right now, this Community Watch program, we've taken it effectively to be something that we could run for another 38 years. Something that doesn't require block captains and for you to get involved in that production level, but you get to reap the benefits of shared information, knowing your neighbors, and extending yourselves a little bit more to the rest of the community. And seeing this right here, this is exactly why we built it. We've been running it right now in Ward 3 in Milton, Ward 3 in Oakville, and Ward 6 in Burlington. Hugely successful. We have thousands of people who receive our newsletter every 2 months. We've brought some flyers here and brochures for you here tonight, and some stickers to give yourselves, and ask that you sign up for that newsletter. That's the start of it. Just means that every 2 months you'll receive information that pertains to your area and what's going on with you. And we're currently working on releasing a new app. Great, another app. A new app that allows you to communicate in the community about crimes. Crime mapping is incredibly important. Halton Police Service does have a revamped website that does offer that, but we want something more real time. So when your neighbor gets their car stolen, they put on that app there, hey, my car was stolen. It's a geographical location, and you can say, oh, look at that. The Wilsons and the Smiths had their car stolen, and then another one was stolen, or a house fire, or so on. So you can share information in real time based on where you live, based on your rewards. Free apps, something that can help you communicate with your neighbors you may not know. It's great to hear about the community barbecues, which we will be attending also too on the 7th.
Excellent.
We can't miss it. But these type of things are important for a community to get together. This is a ramp up to something that's going to be bigger in the future. But for the starting point, for right now, what you get is information that you might not have had before. Tips and tricks. We talk about bail reform. We talk about a lot of pieces that do with crime. Crime Stoppers, if you don't know, is a nonprofit organization. We're one of 39 programs in the province, one of 1,700 across the world. So we've been operating for just over 52 years now, and in Canada, and we're very proud to say that with our innovation with this new Community Watch program, we know strongly that this is going to help us bridge some gaps, share information, and bring people to the forefront of what happens when your car is stolen, what do I do, and so on. For those of you, sorry I keep on getting back to this, but for those of you who don't know what Crime Stoppers is, we take anonymous tips. 1-800-222-TIPS. It's a very popular number for the last 52 years in Canada and the US. This is where you call anonymously and report crime. So if you yourself are in conflict with the law, maybe you are, I don't know if you are, and you have information about somebody else that might be in conflict with the law, you can call us anonymously. If your tip leads to an arrest, we give you up to $2,000. We have a cash incentive to push people who have information if you want to know and want to share. When you see videos and they say, who's this person, who's stealing the car, robbing this store, and so on, it comes through us, we post it out there, and we receive hundreds of tips every single month, and then effectively share it with our friends at HRPS. I'm in the same department as they are, in the CMB, Community Mobilization. And then what we do is we effectively, hopefully make those arrests based on your tips. So it's a very successful program, and you might be surprised to know that only 9% of Canadians actually take the reward. That is something that is very telling for us Canadians. I think that it's very proud moment for all of us. The number one reason that they call us and they give us that anonymous tip is that, one, they don't want to go to court. Two, they don't want to give their name. They don't want to tell that their neighbor knows that they're the one that called, but they want to make a better community for themselves. We help facilitate that. We're very proud of it. Don't guess what it is in the States. It's exactly flip those numbers. A little bit different motivations, but for us, a community like this warms our heart. This makes it a very special day for us to be here with all of you, to get to know who you are. So please, afterwards, take your time if you want. Come ask us some specific questions. Again, help yourself to some of these flyers over here, or visit our website. You can sign up for our newsletter. Anything else, Karen?
I did want to add.
Sure.
Just want to add one piece. So as I was mentioning before, I did come out and meet with some of the committees out here, because as we expand to the rural area, we know this is something new for us as well. So nobody knows your community better than you. So we were kind of getting feedback on what would the Community Watch program look like here in a rural area. And so we got some great tips and tricks from that we're looking at implementing, but we want to hear from you as well. So come up and see us, grab a brochure, take a business card, send us an email with anything that you think would be of value, because your setup is different. Your homes, they're not the row townhouses for the most part like it is in some of the other areas that we're in. So we really want to learn what you guys have out here and what you need, so we can build a program that's going to be a benefit to you.
Awesome, Karen. Good. Any questions right now, or would you like to? I know this will be the last presenter, so you want to get out of here probably. Again, we'll be over here. We'll talk to you afterwards. Sharon, again, thank you for having us out here today. Thanks so much.
Thank you. That was great. I don't think we've got anything else right now. Thank you all for coming out, and please stick around and ask questions if you have any. Take care.